Okay, I think we're going to start. Whoever is joining us can join us while we're having this. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining this presentation. We're going to talk about the adventures of Black Fridays, and we're going to cover it from a Sylius-powered e-commerce platform point of view. I'm going to start with the elephant in the room. Where's Joaquim? This slot was originally intended for Joaquin Lovegard, one of old Sylius contributors and a very big plugin creator. Unfortunately, he was not able to attend, and I stepped in to fill in the position. I want all of us to give a shout out for what he's done for the Sylius community and to let him know that we've missed him here. So shout out to Joaquim. So who am I? This is me. I've been a software product owner since 2013. I've been working with Sylius since 2015, and I've been a Symphony meetup organizer in Bucharest for a couple of years. And now I'm freelancing as a product owner for various companies, trying to focus mostly on Sylius ones because I've enjoyed so much working with this e-commerce software. I want to start by asking you a question. What's a Black Friday? How many of you have been involved into an event that is around this concept or something similar? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so about half of you. That's good to know. So for the others, I would define Black Friday as a shopping event, a point in time where marketing and business decide to throw on some big discounts to liquidate stocks and try to sell as much as possible in a very short period of time. It's originally from the US, and it's usually scheduled on the Friday after Thanksgiving, the 4th week of November, basically the last week of November. It's used by sellers to clear stocks and to make room for the next season, or at least originally that was the intent of this event. And it's used by buyers to purchase discounted products at good pricing or fill in the slots for gifts on the upcoming holidays. In Romania, where I'm coming from, it was made big by EMAG starting 2011 when they started organizing this event on November. People will literally fight to buy from your website, and if you ever get in touch with customer support people when it comes about Black Friday, they will tell you how aggressive they can be in this period of time because how they are saying they are driven by their devils whenever they are entering this kind of mood of buying. So before Sylius, my first contact was while I was working for an affiliate marketing network in Romania. The next day when I arrived at work after the Black Friday, there was a gecko board on the screen that was way off chart because the sales soared like 5 times or 10 times compared to a normal day. For those who don't know, a gecko board is Grafana alternative that started in 2005 or something like that. So imagine a chart that it goes like this, and then one day it just bounces like that. I'm going to show you later how it looks like. It was also mentioned in the news in prime time, and that's when the numbers really started to grow, and people rushed online to search and understand what's this all about. And we called this the Esca moment because that's the name of the famous TV host that mentioned it, Andreea Esca. She's the head of the news in prime time in Romania. So yeah, before Sylius, this was my experience with the event. This is the chart when it comes to revenues that were made back in those days for Black Friday. And because this is a technical audience, In the next slide, I'm going to show you the access logs of the platform during Black Friday in that day. This is a video that was captured by one of my former colleagues back then with the access logs tailed, following the file, and it was averaging around 300 requests per second back in those days. I can assure you nowadays we're talking about numbers like 10 times even bigger than that. Because the e-commerce market has evolved. Okay, so I was involved in this event as a product owner for the first time while working for Elefant.ro, which is a Romanian retailer similar to Amazon. They started selling books and they expanded into verticals such as fashion, toys, and ebooks. And they were using a custom e-commerce platform built with PHP. The platform was not ready for such a huge workload back in those days, and in such a short period of time. And as you can probably imagine, from a technical point of view, a lot of asynchronous work was created by leveraging cron jobs. Basically, you were putting something into a table, and then every 5 minutes, you were running a command trying to do some work on those rows. That was created like that under the assumption that the cron job will run every 5 minutes for a couple of seconds. But when you have a lot of orders and a lot more activity, those couple of seconds turn into minutes, or even worse, hours. And if you were naive enough to set up those cron jobs in a way that they do not take into account existing running instances, you're going to process everything twice, or 3 times, or 10 times. And everything snowballs into an effect. We learned that the hard way because we were not very prepared in those days. The funny thing is that the website crashed multiple times, showing a funny image with an elephant scared by the mouse. And this kind of became trivia in social media back in those days. But at the end of the day, besides all the trouble, the business was quite happy from a financial point of view. So they continued and further improved on top of it. Yeah, this was the elephant that I was previously mentioning. So, the key takeaways that I had after the first Black Fridays before the Sylius era was that you need to have a trimmed version of the website in order to take the load. Back in those days, whenever this event happens, you don't need all the features of the website in order to purchase something from the website. You might need them afterwards, you might need them beforewards when you do your wish list and all of that. But during Black Friday, you should focus on the most important part, that is the checkout process and the ability to view the product page and add to cart, and everything else is a bonus if it works or not. It's a good idea to trim down the version of the website. If you get mentioned on TV in prime time, you struck gold. It's one of the things that you really want to have. Or your website will crash, because that's the side effect of getting a huge surge of traffic that it's unexpected, like orders of magnitude, 10 times or something like that. As I was saying earlier, cron jobs are a very bad pattern to make things asynchronous. So if you have ability to go for queues, do it. And downstream systems matter as much as the front end, especially after Black Friday, because it's not enough to get a lot of orders if you cannot fulfill them, if you cannot offer customer support, if you cannot do business analysis on your data. But again, that's after Black Friday. On Black Friday, focus on getting as many orders as possible. And Black Friday is not over until you shipped all your orders. There are people attending this meeting that were involved into Black Fridays in Romania from the technical department that had to go to the warehouse and help their peers shipping the actual products because they were just overwhelmed with the success of the platform, or because of a bug, something unfortunately happened, and from solidarity, they went to their colleagues and helped them repackage everything and learn the hard way how to how important it is to not to mix data, strings with integers and all that. But at the end of the day, it was a very cool experience, and all of them learned about it. Unexpected stuff might happen, and this is a crazy story that we had during Black Friday, because a lot of shops were organizing such an event, and they were using a very popular software as a service deployment tool. During Black Friday, because of the load of the deployment tool, it broke, and we were not able to push code in production. So we had to manually send files over SFTP. Of course, not all required files were sent. And of course, we learned that after everything failed. But the good thing is that we learned all this, and iteration after iteration, we became better and better at organizing it. The first Sylius iteration, it was for a web shop called Best Value, which is the e-commerce platform for duty-free shops in Romania. So if you ever travel to Romania, if you go through the main airports, you're going to be a potential customer of this company. And if you have a plane ticket, you can buy online. And the online website is powered by Sylius since 2015. I started working for them back in those days. It started on Sylius.14, like in the, I would say, Middle Ages. And we've upgraded it until Sylius.19. And recently this year, we migrated it to Sylius 1.0. So I can tell you it's been a hell of a ride, and I was able to see Sylius in all its instances, even in its infancy. This is the key visual of our first Black Friday. The shop started operating in 2015, and the first 2 years were a hiatus from a Black Friday point of view. The shop was too young, and the business decided to focus on something else back in those days. But 2017 was the first year when we ran such a mechanism on top of Sylius on bestvalue.eu. The teasing mechanism, basically the campaign was like this. We had a teasing mechanism, subscribe to email newsletters, and you get earlier access than everyone else, so that we can expand our database of potential customers. We've created a lightweight version of the website as a front landing page where people could just go and see a bunch of products, browse them, and then go to the actual website. Everything was powered by Sylius API with a Vue.js front end. So I would say somehow headless approach. And we had multiple starting dates, and this is where Sylius was shining in terms of an e-commerce framework. Basically, we're saying go on the website, log in. If you are a subscriber, you get access to the platform. If you're not a subscriber, you will get access 3 hours later. So in order to incentivize people to subscribe to the newsletters. We used Blackfire to profile the shit out of the application, and we were able to have huge gains from stuff that we kind of overlooked when we first developed it. Situations like not fetching eagerly or the entities and doing multiple queries, joins, and all tiny bit of details, like spending 5 hours instead in front of your computer looking on metrics, then changing one line of code, like literally one line of code, and getting like 10 times more performance because you were doing something wrong in the beginning. And we also used Locust, which is a Python application for load testing software that was able to simulate user behavior. Browsing on the website, adding to cart, basically doing all the HTTP requests a customer would do, taking into consideration feedback that we had from our analytics and marketing tools that were providing insights on customer behavior. And also, we leverage cloud infrastructure, or how we say it in our team, just throw hardware into the problem, because after a certain point, it's just easier to pay Google Cloud for for infrastructure than pay development hours. The key takeaways that we had from previous iterations was to prepare to be amazed and impressed by the appetite of people to buy. Initially, we were a bit skeptical about how things will get, but we soon realized that we don't want to underestimate everything. And that's why we always say, whatever you think it will be worse, just double it at least when it comes to such marketing campaigns. A very big and important emphasis I would put on doing load testing, or how we say it, stress test everything. If you don't do it beforehand, your customers will be doing it during the campaign. And it's not a very pleasant situation to be in when you have hundreds or even thousands of people trying to buy from your website and bumping into a bug. Imagine that if you have 1% probability to bump into a bug on a normal day, that means probably someone getting that problem once a week. Well, if you compress 2 months worth of traffic and orders in 24 hours, that 1% no longer translates into once a week. It translates every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes and something like that. And things just go at scale, order of magnitude. Okay, key takeaways that I had from this one. Never ever tell the exact time when you're going to start. Because guess what? People will go on that exact date on your website and they will all do the same thing at the same time, further increasing the load on basically every process that you have. So we initially started doing that. We said to people, we're going to start tomorrow at 9 a.m. And guess what? 2 minutes before 9 a.m., everybody rushed on the website and made it crash and burn. Now we're no longer saying that. We're doing something along the lines, we're going to start in the morning. Subscribe to the newsletter so you can get notification whenever we're going to start, so we can alleviate a bit the load on that. It's never too early to start working on this, and January, it's a good month to start preparing for a Black Friday that's going to be happening in November. Trust me, it's never enough time to do all the optimization that you need. Symfony and Sylius were very flexible to accommodate very complex business use cases for us. As I was saying earlier, subscribe to newsletter to get early access. Based on customer groups, we were able to serve different content to customers, and decoupling front end from back end front end from back office through queues made it really easy to scale and no longer had issues like the one with cron jobs that I was previously mentioning. And back in those days, Sylius did not have API platform integration, but we were leveraging Sylius Resource API for the campaign landing page, basically putting a Vue.js application on top of it. And another thing that we missed in the first iterations was that you will need the data from actual campaign for the next iterations. Therefore, take screenshots on Google Analytics, save access logs, save metrics. Everything will be useful for you next year. Next year version of yourself will thank the version of yourself from today that you did that. One of the pain points that I've encountered while working with Sylius in this kind of campaigns were the Sylius order number. The sequence generator is a huge bottleneck currently, and almost all projects that I've been working on for Sylius, when it came to performance enhancement, this was something that we first rewrote, so that we no longer have to do locking on MySQL whenever the order is completed. So pay attention to that if you ever organize such an event from a technical point of view. Incrementing or decrementing promotion usages. It's another bottleneck in the platform, and the way it's done, it's not very safe for big concurrency, and it's not uncommon to end up with a coupon usage of -300. And that's a bad thing from a marketing point of view. If you say, we're going to give customers €100 to spend on the website, and only the first 100 customers, they are going to get it. if the promotion usage is not going to take into account concurrency, it's easy to go over the limit and take a pretty hefty financial hit. The same issue with stock management. I don't know how it is in your countries, but in our countries, the authority that is protecting customers is very strict about that. If you sold it, if you made it available on the website, you have to deliver it to the customer. We don't care about your costs, you just have to do it. So stock management is also suffering from pretty much the same issue as the promotion usage. And based on my experience and others from the community, the best way, or the way that we found so far it works, is to rely on MySQL to do the math on that, not do it in PHP with entities. Adjustments from promotions are going to increase the number of writes. In general, my experience with Sylius is that it's mostly a read from database focused application, but adjustments heavily increase the number of writes. And during Black Friday, people will add more to cart, more order items, more order item units, which means more adjustments than you would originally expect. So if you talk with a database admin, make them aware that whenever a person adds something to cart, or if there's a promotion involved, there's going to be more writes than just one insert into the order item table. This is a funny one. You wouldn't, or at least us, we didn't think that managing payment statuses is going to be a bit of a hustle. Our service providers, it goes like this. You complete the order, you put your credit card, you hit pay, and then you're redirected to the thank you page. In parallel, they send you a callback to say if the payment was authorized or not. During Black Friday, for us at least, the callback on the webhook was coming faster than the customer was able to reach the thank you page, which put us into a situation when the customer reached the callback, transitioned the payment status from awaiting payment to authorized, and the customer, while reaching thank you page, transitioned it to awaiting payment. And that's how we ended up having a bunch of orders in a limbo state, although we technically captured the money, so we had to do some reconciliation at the end of the day. So take into account that callbacks for payment service providers might come faster than customers are reaching the order confirmation page. And another big hustle that we had was HTTP cache, or object caching, which we kind of had to do from scratch. There was no guideline from the platform point of view on how to do caching, or even worse, or more specifically, how to clear caching. Because it's you know, that anecdote, naming variables and clearing cache, it's one of the trickiest parts in programming. So yeah, these are the things that we were able to polish throughout our 6 iterations of Black Friday on top of Sylius at bestvalue.eu. So have this in mind whenever you're planning for your next big marketing campaign on top of Sylius. The software toolkit that we're using, of course, a solid e-commerce platform, which is Sylius. We also relied on cloud infrastructure and a very deep pocket from the business, especially from the marketing team. And most of the projects that I've been working on leverage Google Cloud as a cloud provider. The profiling tool, Blackfire, which they are doing an amazing job, both from software as a service point of view and also from a technical point of view. It was gold to use this tool on the website and try to understand where our bottlenecks are. The application performance manager, here we use the New Relic to give us insights on the real life data coming from customers. This one is the one that helped us understand during the stress test where is the bottleneck and understand this at scale. If Blackfire gives you the ability to take request by request and do a deep dive, the APM gives you the ability to understand on a broad scale, on averages, where are the pain points that you want to address from a performance optimization point of view. You need logs, so you don't have to rely, like we did back in those days, with files and grep and tail on the server. So for this one, we used Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana for Elasticsearch for storage, Logstash for gathering everything, and Kibana for visualization and search and filtration. So use logs in order to understand what kind of errors you're getting into, and whenever you're coding, throw as much log as possible so that you can backtrace issues whenever they happen. Also gather infrastructure metrics, rely on Grafana, rely on InfluxDB as a time series database, and Thanos as a storage layer for years or for big intervals of time. It's very important to, as I was saying earlier, to snapshot everything at the end of the event so that next year when you're starting from scratch, you don't have a blank page. You can build on top of the knowledge that you've gathered the previous year. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you might hear from business something like, we're just doing this year. No, you're not. You're going to do it every year, especially if it's very profitable. And experience so far taught me that it is very profitable to drive sales through discounts. Try to learn about load testing frameworks such as Locust or K6. This year is my first year when we did the load test with K6, which is a tool from Grafana based on Golang and JavaScript. Locust is Python. So you have to be a little bit of polyglot in multiple languages in order to do that. And also do the same for business metrics. Number of orders, order item units, stocks, a lot of business-related insights that will drive future improvements. For this, we are using Metabase, which is a plugin open source application that sits on top of MySQL and gives customers ability, gives business people ability to query the database of the website, either by writing the SQL queries, which marketing will never do, or by building the queries in a visual way. Yeah, so we have a dashboard. We call it the Black Friday dashboard, where we keep track of all the orders, order stocks, and all that, so we can understand also from a business point of view how things are going, so we do not have to wait for very huge BI reporting. Okay, other takeaways. I can't stress enough the use of cross-functional timeline with a checklist. I'm going to show you in one of the next slides what I mean by that. Essentially, it's a document where you outline step by step who needs to do what and at what point in time so that you can coordinate with other people. It's a very bad idea to do deployment of a bug just right after marketing send an SMS to the entire database of customers. It's asking for trouble. Or worse, marketing comes with a crazy idea of doing something without letting you know, so that you can make sure the infrastructure is able to handle that or stuff like that. So having this cross-functional timeline with the checklist proved for us like a life-saving approach. Consider a code freeze. I know businesses will always push you to deploy code even to the very last moment, but if you plan it soon enough, you will be able to say, if the marketing campaign is on the 10th of November, on the 1st of November, there's no more code changes pushed to our repository unless there's a business critical thing. And it should get approved by someone higher on the hierarchy. And the reason I'm telling you this is because in the first iterations, we didn't do that. Of course, we did all the mistakes in the book. And we pushed bugs that we were unaware of, that were not there before the campaign, and that they kind of bit our ass during the loading, the big load times. Ensure the billing for the software as a service is up to date and is ready to accommodate spikes. And this is something that our marketing team learned the hard way. The ads were stopped in the middle of Black Friday because everybody was going on Google searching for the keyword Black Friday in the name of the company, and that consumed all the marketing budget. So take that into account as well. Oh, yeah. And make key business metrics visible to the people. Sometimes you will get questions from the business on what they need. Sometimes they will just not know what to ask you. So be proactive, work with them, go towards them, like, look, this is what we have, this is what we can get you, and work together on that. Another thing that I found very useful is a pre-mortem. Pre-mortem is a meeting where we get all the people involved in the event, and we go through the checklist and ask ourselves what could go wrong and how are we going to mitigate this in case that happens. And it's better to have that upfront when you don't have the pressure than try to find out solutions in the middle of the night when all hell broke loose. The same way, do a retrospective after the event and write down takeaways for next year, because you will need them. And they are fresh in your mind, so you don't have to remember 1 year after, what the fuck did happen in that night? Talk to your vendors and tell them what to expect, so that they are not taken out of surprise, especially if you're using vendors from other countries that might not be aware of events happening on your specific country. And have a vendor contact person phone number on a speed dial or at hand, because if something bad happens, you don't want to send an email and wait for a response. You just want to give them a call, even for Google. This is a sample timeline checklist. Unfortunately, it's Romanian because I didn't have much time to prepare the presentation. But it starts like this. You have the deadline on the left in terms of hours. On the middle, on the second column, you have the name of the task. On the third, you have the owner. Who is the person that is going to be asked about it? Not who does it, just who is the accountable person, not the responsible, the accountable person. And on the right, you have the status. And you have days, and then you have hours for each one of them. I can quickly translate it to you. We have confirmation of text images for Black Friday in the staging environment. And then we have the final deployment plus the code freeze, that nothing more goes on the website. And then we have a pause of conversion code in Google Tag Manager. And then we have a bunch of transfer priorities in our ERP. And then at 3 p.m., we just replace the website with a page that says, we're starting to work on the Black Friday. Come back in a few hours when you're up and ready. So this is the kind of checklist that we're using. And because in 1 year we had issues with the task manager, we decided to go in a simple version in a Google Docs file. Taking into account Google Docs, it's highly unlikely to fail. And on top of that, we also printed it and gave it to people so that they can have it at hand in case something happens. Redundancy is never a bad idea, in my opinion. You should also have fun. And this is one of the tickets that I created for Black Friday. At Best Value, we use the Jira IDs as the commit messages and the name of the branch. Therefore, in case you need to do a huge commit for traceability, we had this ID. And yeah, in order to be awesome as a product owner, I need an awesome Best Value available during Black Friday. The acceptance criteria are the ones that basically the task list. And optionally, if things went well, we also thought as an extra activity, we should install Bomberman on a server so we can play during the campaign if everything goes well. In retrospect, we didn't have time to install Bomberman on the server, but we still have it in our mind. Okay, non-conventional takeaways. Be open-minded about solutions. Black Friday started in Romania the same as in the US, in the last week of November. But the funny thing is about Romania is that on the 1st of December is a national holiday. That means the couriers are not working. And because they are not working, a lot of orders were queued on their warehouses, and people who were ordering during Black Friday to receive gifts for holiday season ended up receiving them in January or February. And that was when all hell broke loose on customer support and all that. And that's why, for example, in Romania, Black Friday, it's done a little bit earlier, similar to how it is Singles Day in China, on around mid November, so that all the parcels end up being delivered for the holiday season. Ensure people are available during Black Friday and they do not have planned time off. And I'm telling you that because we had a developer that was crucial to our team that didn't realize Black Friday is going to be on his mother's birthday. So he went to HR, filled a request to have time off. It was approved, all good, and we learned that he's not going to be available like 2 or 3 days before. Fortunately, we were able to overcome that issue. It was not of a problem, but made us sweat a little bit, knowing that he's not going to be available in case we would need them. Expect to pull an all-nighter, and if things go wrong, you'll probably stay pretty late. So rest, drink water, don't exaggerate on the coffee. Bring a spare t-shirt, and I'm telling you that because after an all-nighter, when someone from marketing came into the office, it was like, oh my God, this thing's so bad in here. They just opened a window because we were like a bunch of people staying there for 8 hours in a row without any clean air. And also deodorant with the new t-shirt. Funny slippers are never a bad idea, but pajamas might be too much. I don't know. It depends on how your team is organized. As I was saying earlier, expect the unexpected. The internet might go down. We had that. Our main internet connection just broke 5 minutes before we had to do the deployment. So we had to rely on phones with hotspots to connect to the internet. The software as a service might crash, so take that into account. The bus factor is a real thing. And this is a story from a startup in Romania. Their CTO was literally hit by a bus 2 days before Black Friday. She tried to cross the street. She wasn't paying attention. She was on her phone, and the bus hit her. Fortunately, she survived. She's okay. She was fine. But imagine the leader of the team gone missing for a week before such a big event. And also, keep it stupid simple. I know Sylius gives you the ability to do a lot of cool stuff, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Complexity in high concurrency environment can be tricky to handle and can bring unexpected situations. Yeah, that's a wrap up. I'm looking forward to hearing your experiences. So reach out after this and tell me how it was for you to organize Black Friday. I'm sure we can all learn from each other's. And maybe we can work together next year. I'm a big fan of this event. I think it stretches you to become a better person, even as a developer or as a product owner. So reach out. There's a QR code in there, a bit of a shameless self-promo. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
I would actually have 2 questions.
Yes.
If I may. One is, did you ever face the issue?
Every time. That's the beauty of queues, because you can have you can just put everything in a queue and let it scale as much as possible, and then fire up a bunch of consumers that process that without having to take into account that you need to do some sort of a moderation or stuff like that. You just scale horizontally by opening 20 consumers or something like that. Let's say in general, in order to process orders completed, we need 2 consumers to work in order to keep the queue at 0. If you have a surge in number of orders, you just spawn a bunch of more consumers, and Symfony Messenger does a great job with that. Have I answered your question?
Yes, thanks. And the other question, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I didn't fully understand the example of the callback from the payment provider coming before that the customer reaches the page. If you could maybe elaborate.
Yeah, sure. Are you familiar with Payum and how it is integrated in Sylius?
Very little. I did go
Okay. It's very good for the mental health not to do that. It's a bit of a hustle, and the core team is working, to my knowledge, in making that a better developer experience. In short, it goes like this. You go on the website, you fill in the details in order to complete an order, and then you hit the button, complete the order. Let's assume that you're being redirected to the payment service provider website where you have to enter your credit card data. At that point in time, the order in Sylius has a state, I don't know the exact name, but it's similar to awaiting payment because you haven't paid it yet. When you come from the payment service provider back to the website on the order confirmation page, you don't have the payment fully processed. It's just authorized. Basically, the payment service provider says the credit card is valid. We will be able to charge this guy money when you decide so. So therefore, start the process of packing the order and all that. So you go from cart to awaiting payment to authorized. So this happens in one thread of action in the browser of the customer. But whenever, at least for us, and I know that for other payment service providers it works similar, the payment service provider issues a webhook back to the merchant saying, we were able to do the fraud analysis, more complex processes. So this is not only authorized, it's also confirmed. So we have 100% guarantee that we're going to be able to do that. Sometimes, or at least for us, that was the case, the callback is coming faster than the customer is able to load the thank you page. And because Sylius out of the box is not treating this kind of concurrency, you end up having a race condition on the payment object that gets the status overridden. Make sense now?
Yeah, perfectly understood. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I don't know it by heart how it works out of the box in Sylius, because on pretty much every instance that I've been working on, this part was heavily customized with the country specific and with the payment service provider specific. The only thing that I wanted to put emphasis on is that for us at least, it was not obvious that webhooks might come faster than users is doing something on the website. So you either take that into consideration or implement a mechanism that ensures is not overriding data in the database coming from another thread of execution. Make sense? Cool. Other questions? No. Thank you very much for attending, and thank you for the questions. Let's take a break and then continue there. Thank you.